Hello, this is Adam with Daily Grind Digital, and today I'm going to show you how to use the featured product section in the DGD Crusade Shopify theme. So right here I have the featured product section added into the theme. If you're unsure how that gets in there, you just go to the theme customizer once your theme is uploaded to Shopify. Go down to the bottom of all of this, if there's anything there for you, and you can find featured product here. So I have that added in right here. And as with everything in the theme, you have the section, the section settings. So if you click in the featured product here, and then you have blocks. So each individual block may have a certain set of settings in it as well. So we can start here by going into the featured product section settings. So if I click in here, first of all, you have to choose a product. So if you don't have a product selected, it'll allow you to select a product. You have the alignment wide or full of your product, which just changes how wide the product will stretch in full screen mode. So right there, we may be able to see a difference here if I align full and go to full screen. This depends on what you have set in your theme settings. So that is a different video, configuring theme settings. So you can find that on our website. Um, and so that's your alignment options there. You have your padding top, padding bottom, which just adds padding to the top or the bottom of the section. So just know that. And then image size. So you can change, do you want your image to be small? Do you want it to be large or medium? So there's your image sizes there. You can use featured media aspect ratio. What this setting will do is it'll actually use the aspect ratio of the image itself. That is the first set image in the back end of Shopify in the actual product when you're creating or managing the product. So it'll use the image aspect ratio. Um, this is a good setting if you're trying to dynamically adjust image aspect ratios based on products. So, for example, maybe you have a site where um, maybe you have people wearing scarves, and for those images, for some reason, your business took more like mobile long ways, like photos, more mobile size, so like 9 by 16. But then you have like shoes or something where you use more of 1 by 1 images, so square images. This setting would allow your product, say for example, if you're setting up product pages with your product template, it would allow that to adjust dynamically on a product by product basis. So this could be a good feature to use. It just depends on the site. Otherwise, if you're consistent with all your image ratios and the dimensions across all of your products, then you may want to uncheck this option and use a hard set setting. So this is only going to affect this particular section, um, this featured product section. But the reason I'm saying this is because these settings are actually very similar for product settings, so your product pages, and they're the same settings, so it just gets pulled into the featured product section. Um, So from there you have your image height. So this controls your image aspect ratio. Note this will not work if this option is selected. So if I decrease this all the way down, you see no change. But if I uncheck this, you can see how small this image got, because this image ratio of this image doesn't work very well with the image height that I set. You can see this is more of a mobile sized image. So um, in terms of dimension. So adjusting that image height, you might like that a little better to do something of that nature. Then you have your image alignment. So do you want the image on the right or the left side of this area? So there you have it if you want to switch it. And you have the option to hide product thumbnails. So you can see those thumbnails of the products were hid by doing that, and now they're visible again. You have show image background. So right now the background's not showing. If we want to show an image background, you can see this little light gray background around it. And then you have the background colors. So um, just note that these options for the background color are set in the theme settings. So you do have control of your primary, secondary, and tertiary. So just to explain that there. Um, And also, if you can see the um, you can see how the card, the image background here, the card is rounded. That is also controlled in theme settings as well. So you can have square backgrounds to and add radiuses to your buttons. So you have square buttons or circular buttons based on radius settings in the theme settings. So outside of that, I'm going to uncheck show image background. Oh yeah, so you have your image background color, sorry. So if you wanted to show a background color, you can, but typically like a light gray or to not show one is the best setting. And um, to this probably looks a little better. All right. So the next you have title. So you have your blocks. So you've got title and price, your product description, your form, share button, and you also have pop-up text, inventory countdown, icons, text, custom liquid, which I won't go over because that is more for a developer, someone that knows liquid language. Uh, you have your upsell functionality and accordion. So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through all of these different blocks so you understand what is available in this section and how you can use it, as well as just note that again, these settings are also available on the product page, so it'll give you an idea of what you're able to accomplish on your actual product pages on Shopify. So first, title and price. Um, you have your navigation. So do you want a collection to show as essentially the breadcrumb here? So you have, this collection, I've just titled it example collection. But you have your vendor. So the vendor is for our store, we just set the name for DGD Sandbox, but of course that would adjust to the vendor that you put on your product. Maybe you have multiple vendors, or maybe it's just your own brand. That's what would show. You have your text, your title text size. So these heading sizes are controlled in your theme settings, H1 through H6, but you can adjust how large you want your title to be. Do you want to show star rating? All right, so I just went in the back end and added a review for this product. So now, whereas before you weren't seeing a star rating, if I select this option, you can actually see that star rating popping up here. And if you click show rating count, you'll be able to see the rating count. So how many reviews does this product have? So our theme will take over that over an app. If you want to use your app to display the reviews, that's fine. We just advise that you don't, or at least know that it might harm your performance a little bit to use the app's code. All right, so that was the title and price. Now we have product description, which is literally just the product description. It pulls the product description from your actual back end of Shopify where you create your product. When you add a description to the product, that's what this will pull. So there's no settings for it. The reason you do not see a product description over here is because I do not have a description on this product. But if for some reason you did have a description on your product, say it's a really long description, you could just use the eyeball to hide it, or you could just remove the block and delete it out. That way that description isn't making the form area super long. So if you don't like the way it looks with the description, you can get rid of the description. The next option is the product form itself. So in the product form, the first option you have here is a size chart. I've added in an example size chart page for you to view. Essentially what that does, I titled the page size chart. So that's the title that pulls in right here. If you click that, it will, second here, might have to save it. There we go. All right. So now you can see that size chart pulls in, and I made a little row and column area on the page. So that is how that example works there. Then you also have, so I'll just remove that. Then you also have show quantity selector. So that is your quantity selector right here. So you can turn that off if you don't want that there. You have dynamic checkout buttons. So that is Shopify's dynamic checkout buttons, which is a buy it now button if you don't have other payment methods enabled. But if you have PayPal or Google Pay enabled, for example, those may also pop up here as well. That is controlled by Shopify entirely. We have given you some customizable options over the styling of the Buy It Now button, which are also controlled in theme settings. So just know that you can style these buttons a little bit. That's why you see this radius added to the button. Enable subscription selectors. This is actually not a working option currently. We haven't extensively built this out. So in the base theme, please do not expect this to be built in. And if it is built in, it'll be a pleasant surprise for you. But we do not currently support the subscription at the time of this recording. Button size. So of course that's just going to impact your button size here. So if I want to change that button to large, you can see that the button size has got larger, or extra small. See the button size has got a lot smaller. Then you have, of course, your button style. So do you want this button to be outlined, which you can see here. It just impacted the add to cart because this dynamic checkout button is controlled elsewhere. It's controlled in the theme settings. So you can control this. You do have certain controls over this buy it now button. The button color, of course. So, do you want to change it? Obviously, that doesn't look the best, but you can see that you have the option to change it. So I'm going to change it back to black, do solid, and that is the form settings. Then you have the share button. So share button literally just gives you the URL of the product, and you can copy that product and share that link with someone. So if you don't like that, you can just turn it off. And so your other blocks here are accordions. Accordions are really nice because you can clean up your product description area a lot and add useful information at kind of hierarchy level. So, maybe you have care instructions that you want to, so if we click into accordion, in each accordion block that you add, you have up to 5 accordions. You can add a page into it, but, so you might have care instructions, and then down here you would have your description area. I'm going to have to save this. Sometimes Shopify's customizer likes to bug out a little bit. When it does that, sometimes refreshing the page, every once in a while I have to close down the tab and just open up a new tab. But just know that sometimes that's Shopify's customizer, not something really on our end. So you can see the description here pulls in. So that's a way that you can kind of condense your descriptions and the info that you're giving on your product while also including everything that you should include for the user to know. So accordions are nice. Then you have we can do upsell. We'll just go in order. So if you do upsell, you don't see anything here. You do have to go into the upsell block, select the product. I'll just select this first one. Might not look the best, but just bear with me. So buy it with. Now you have the option to buy it with. Do different options. So you can choose your variant of each product, and you can add all to cart, which will add both items to cart at the same time. You have your button size, of course, and your button settings. So those are pretty standard to control this button there. So just know that is an option. Let that disappear for now. Then you have your text. So do you want to add a text area? Add some text here. That pulls in right here. By the way, your default text size and font is controlled in your theme settings. It's your primary font that you set in the theme. That is covered in the theme setting video, just in case you're wondering about what controls how this text looks here. Next, you have icons. Icons are pretty cool. So in the theme, you have all these built-in icons already. So you have the, let's see, here's a recycle. So you have a recycle option. You have a lightning bolt. I believe there is uh, a truck in here somewhere for maybe you want to do shipping around that. So you have different icons you can use. And what's nice is if you have your own icon, you can just select an image and use your own icon just by selecting an image here. I will leave that alone because I don't have anything good for an example, but just know that you can use a custom icon. And then also you can control the color settings of the icon. So let's say we want it to be orange, but now you can see this icon here changes color, and you can control how big the icon is. So now we've made it a good bit larger. If you want it to be larger, you have that option. Of course, you can customize the text that goes along with it, and you can make that text larger or smaller. So you have options to control the text size here. You have the width option. So do you want it to be half the width, which makes it smaller? Of course, depending on your size settings and things, it might not look the best. So for example, maybe we would want that text size to be small if we're using half width, and that looks a little better. And then if you add in an additional icon when you have it set to half width, you might. So let's do half, text size small. You can see they stack side by side, so you have a little bit of ability to get creative here. And with that being said, you have your alignment. So do you want to align center? So you can see this 30-day hassle-free trial align center now. You have your background. So do you want your background to stand out, or do you want it to blend in? So right now I have a white background on a white background, so it just looks like it's a part of the page. So you have that option. So that is the icon options there. Then you have inventory countdown. So that's what it sounds like. There's no settings for it. It just counts down your inventory. There is actually a setting for inventory countdown in terms of how it displays in theme settings. So there we have that. And then lastly, you have your pop-up text. And your pop-up text acts just like the size chart. So it may not be useful for every single business. It just depends. But if you would have need to display more information without cramming up your page, for example, it is a good way to display additional information. I don't believe it is going to show until I save the change. So read more, and there you have that size chart popping out again. So you can get creative there and use that however you like. With that being said, that is all of the blocks and the block settings for the featured product section. Now you're that much more prepared to maximize your performance using the DGD Crusade Shopify theme.